Let's talk about what most older men miss entirely when it comes to modern dating, especially when younger women show interest. It rarely begins with a bold statement or obvious flirtation. In fact, it almost always starts with something subtle, a question seemingly harmless, incredibly casual. The kind you'd hear from a stranger in a coffee shop or a passing comment at the gym. But that innocent sounding question, it's not always just a question. It's a test. It's another wasted opening. It's an emotional permission slip. And if you're not paying attention, if you've been trained only respond when an attraction looks like something dramatic, you'll miss it entirely. Let me give you an example. She walks up and asks, "Hey, are you single?" Now, some older men hear that and laugh it off, thinking it's a joke. Others get defensive, suspicious, or dismissive. But what she's really doing is probing your energy. She's not asking for facts. She's reading your presence. Your reaction tells her far more than your answer ever will. Because here's what you need to understanding. Women don't want to be rejected or made to feel foolish for making the first move. So when she's genuinely interested, she often cloaks that interest inside curiosity. A question becomes her way of saying, "I'm opening the door a little. Are you safe to let in?" Or this is how feminine energy often works. It doesn't demand. It invites. She might ask, "Do you come here often? What you do for work? How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?" Even something like, "Do you have kids?" can be layered with meaning, not because she wants a data point, but because she's feeling you out. And the tragedy is, most men are too numb, too self-critical, or too distracted to notice. They think she's just being polite. Or worse, they assume, why would someone like her be interested in someone like me? But here's the truth, the question is the offer. When a woman asks a personal question, especially out of nowhere, what she's often doing is giving you a chance to lead, to rise, to respond from a place of confidence and groundedness. She's watching not just what you say, but how you hold yourself when you say it. Is your body relaxed? Do your eyes meet hers with warmth and strength? Do you speak slowly without rushing to prove something? Because the tone of your response is more important than the content. Let's say she asks, "Are you single?" And you reply, "Yeah, been single for a while now, focused on work, but I'm open to connection." That's clear, confident, calm. Now compare that with, "Yeah, why do you ask?" Or, "Well, that's complicated." Now your energy becomes uncertain, possibly defensive. That moment, that one tiny opening she gave you, it closes. See, attraction in women is not just built on how you look. It's built on how you respond to her curiosity. She might not even realize she's flirting, but her nervous system does. Her body knows when it feels drawn towards someone. And if she's asking you something, there's a good chance her instinct has already felt safe, intrigued, or impressed. She just wants to confirm it. But if you minimize the question, make it into a joke, or dismiss it because you think you're too old or not her type, you're not only misreading her, you're rejecting an energetic offering. This is where older men lose ground without realizing it. They've been trained to think only in terms of logic. So when a young woman expresses interest through small talk or innocent questions, they assume it's nothing. But in reality, it's everything, because women are relational. They're subtle. They test the emotional climate before they enter it. So when she throws that question out, it's not random. It's calculated. She's putting herself out there just far enough to stay safe and waiting to see if you feel safe enough to meet her halfway. And when you do, when you respond with calm confidence, with presence instead of performance, her body relaxes. She opens more. She asks another question, maybe laughs a little louder, maybe stands a little closer. It builds from there, not with grand declarations, but with small, meaningful exchanges of energy. And if you're the kind of man who can recognize those moments, hold them, and lead them with grace, you won't need to chase women. They'll open to you. They'll trust you. They'll choose you. So the next time a woman asks you something seemingly simple, don't just give her an answer. Give her your presence, your calm, your wasted day, your clarity, because she's not asking for information. She's asking if you're a man worth giving her curiosity to. And if you worried, everything changes. Jose, because the man who sees the signal behind the question, he becomes the answer she didn't know she was looking for. When a woman asks you a question, especially a question that seems oddly specific, playfully bold, or slightly off topic, She's not just trying to make conversation. She's test something far more important, your masculine frame. You see, women intuitively look for emotional cues that signal stability, leadership, and self-possession. They want to know what kind of man they're dealing with. Is he grounded? Can he hold his own energy without folding? Will he overcompensate, chase, or fall into insecurity at the first hint of flirtation? Because make no mistake, flirtation is not just about fun. It's a psychological scan of the things I've talked. And younger women, especially, are highly attuned to the nuances of this scan. They don't need a man who tries to entertain them. They want a man whose energy leads the room even when he says nothing. So when she leans in and casually asks something like, would you ever date a younger woman? Or do you always dress this well? She's not waiting for the perfect answer. She's observing your presence, your emotional temperature. She's checking to see if you crack under pressure or stand still in your truth. This is what's known as a frame check in masculine-feminine dynamics. She's entering your space, lightly tapping at the edges of your energy field and asking, how solid are you really? She doesn't want you to crumble. She wants to feel that you won't. Why? Because feminine energy is chaotic by nature. It's emotionally rich, unpredictable, multi-layered, and it doesn't want to lead. It wants to test, to swirl, to flow. But it needs a container. That's your job. You're not the entertainer. You're the anchor. So when she asks you something provocative or even slightly teasing, the goal isn't to impress her with it or charm. It's to remain emotionally composed, relaxed, and sovereign. Your value isn't in how well you react, but in how little you react. Not out of indifference, but from mastery. The truth is, a woman asking you these flirt-coded questions is rarely looking for a literal answer. What she's trying to feel is resonance. She wants to know if your words are aligned with your energy. She wants to feel the weight of your presence. She's subconsciously asking, are you the kind of man who needs to prove something? Or are you already everything I hoped you would be? And now, this isn't about playing games or trying to act like some stoic alpha. It's about being grounded in yourself. When you're rooted, when you trust your worth, you're not easily thrown off. You don't need to overperform. You don't need to explain yourself. You simply are. That's the magnetism she feels. Let me give you a real world example. Let's say she says, you look like trouble. You could get nervous and say, oh no, not me. Or you could try to be cheeky and say, only a little. But the man who passes the frame check, he doesn't dodge the tension. He leans into it slowly, calmly. He looks at her with a subtle smile and says something like, only if you can't handle honesty. No defensive energy. No need to outdo her. Just presence. Calm. A soft edge of confidence. And she'll feel it. Not in your words, but in your energy stability. Because when a woman senses your frame is unshakable, her nervous system relaxes. She feels safe to express more. She trusts that you can handle her, that you can hold the emotional voltage she brings without needing to match it or contain it by force. Here's where it becomes even more critical. Younger women, especially those who are drawn to older men, are not just attracted to age. They're attracted to maturity. Maturity isn't just about wisdom or experience. Some of the talk, it's about how you regulate your emotional presence. They want to know if you're the man who keeps his cool when things get intense. They want to know if your calm is real, or if it's a performance that will collapse under pressure. They want to know if you'll start chasing or crumbling when they start teasing. This is the unspoken dance. This is the moment where attraction either ignites or out. So the next time a woman asks you a bold, curious, or playful question, remember, she's not asking for information. She's asking for alignment. She wants to feel the congruence between who you are and how you carry yourself. And if you respond from your core, without leaning, chasing, or needing approval, her body will pick up on that faster than her mind ever could. She'll feel it in the silence between your words. She'll feel it in your stillness. She'll feel it in your unapologetic calm. That's what real masculine presence is. And it's rare. And it's unforgettable. So don't be the man who stumbles trying to impress her with answers. Be the man who holds his ground, who lets the question hang in the air a moment longer and makes her feel something deeper than she expected. Because in that pause, in that power, she won't just hear your answer. She'll feel your worth. Most men assume a woman's questions are about gathering information, but that's a surface level interpretation. What many fail to realize is that when a woman asks you something, especially early on, it's rarely about what she's asking. It's about how you respond. She's not testing your knowledge. She's testing your awareness. There's a subtle but critical distinction here. Awareness is not about being the smartest man in the room. Waste a day, it's not about having the best answers or saying all the right things. Awareness is about being attuned. It's about wasted day. It's about being emotionally calibrated enough to notice what she's really feeling, not just what she's saying. And that's a skill most men never develop because they're too busy reacting from ego instead of listening from presence. When a woman asks you something playful and ambiguous or emotionally loaded, what she's trying to gauge is this: are you perceptive enough to sense what's under the surface? Can you feel the tension she's creating? Can you recognize the emotional cue she's offering as a gateway to intimacy? Or will you respond like a robot, trapped in logic, blind to the emotional nuance? Let's say she says something like, "So, do you talk to all women like this?" Most men jump into defense or explanation. "No, I don't flirt with everyone, just you." Or worse, they get insecure and ask, "Was that too much?" But wasn't looking for facts. She was creating polarity. She was inviting you into a moment of subtle emotional tension. She wanted to see, can you stay relaxed when I tease you? Will you own your presence or will you apologize for it? Do you feel me or are you just playing a script? When a man lacks awareness, he gets flustered. He overthinks. He collapses into logic, trying to say the right thing. But the man who's aware, he doesn't fall for that. He knows what's happening. He sees through the surface and responds not just with words, but with energy. Maybe he smiles and says, "Only the interesting ones." Simple, direct, no chase. But what makes it powerful isn't just the words, it's the energy behind them. Calm, collected, centered. Because here's what most men don't understand: women aren't just listening to what you say, they're feeling who you are. They're tuning into the resonance of your emotional state. Your awareness, your ability to sense the emotional undercurrent of the moment is what signals real masculinity to them. Not bravado, not logic, but presence. This is why awareness is so attractive to the feminine, because the feminine wants to be felt, not managed. A woman doesn't want to explain every emotion she's having. She is just another wasted base. She doesn't want to spell everything out for you. She wants you to notice. She wants you to intuitively sense what's really going on. Is just another wasted day. That's how she knows she's safe with you. That's how she knows you see her not just as a body, but as a being. When a woman feels seen without needing to explain herself, it disarms her. It melts her guard. It builds trust that can't be faked. She may not even know why she feels drawn to you, but that's the reason. It's your awareness, your emotional precision, your ability to meet her without invading her, to notice without needing control. And that's rare. Now, here's where older men have the advantage. If they've done the inner work. With life experience often comes wisdom, but wisdom means nothing without awareness. A man can have decades of relationships behind him and still be emotionally oblivious. But the man who's cultivated presence, who listens deeply, responds slowly, and pays attention to supple shifts in energy, he doesn't need to impress. His awareness speaks louder than words. So when a woman, especially a younger woman, asks you something that seems playful or probing, stop treating it like a quiz. It's not a test of knowledge. It's a mirror. It reflects how connected you are to the moment. And she's watching. Is your attention divided? She feels it. Are you rushing to prove yourself? She feels that too. But if you're fully there, anchored, present, gently curious, she relaxes because she knows she's not being handled. She's being held. And here's the beauty of awareness. It requires nothing but attention. You don't have to be flashy. You don't need perfect lines. You just need to be still enough to feel what's really happening. Most men are too distracted, too self-focused to ever access that depth. But the man who does, he's magnetic without even trying. So let this be the shift. Stop thinking of her questions as challenges to overcome. Start recognizing them as invitations to show up more fully. Don't answer her from your head. Answer her from your center. Because when you meet a woman with that kind of grounded awareness, you don't just win her interest, you earn her trust. And that, more than anything, is what opens her heart. The man who sees beneath her words becomes the man she feels safe revealing herself to. And in a world full of noise, presence is the rarest form of power. There's something deeply misunderstood in modern connection, especially between older men and younger women. And it's this: before a woman flirts, before she reveals interest, before she emotionally invests, she searches for safety. Not just physical safety, but emotional safety. That's the piece most men completely miss. They think attraction is built through charm, humor, or the right pickup line. They assume that confidence alone is enough. But for a woman, especially one who's aware of her value, the question isn't, is he impressive? It's, can I relax around him? And that decision is often made in seconds through small cues you don't even realize you're giving off. So when she walks into the conversation and starts asking questions, are you married? What do you do? How old are you? She's not prying. She's checking for stability. She's not trying to judge you. She's checking to see if you're safe. Because here's the reality for women: the world can be dangerous, socially, emotionally, physically. A woman can't just let her guard down with any man. Her biology won't allow it. Her nervous system is wired for self protection. That means before opens emotionally, before she becomes vulnerable, her subconscious needs to confirm one thing: can this man hold space for me without abusing it? And that's where older men often misunderstand the moment. They think she's just being curious. Or worse, they think she's just trying to reject me. But in truth, she's doing neither. She's scanning for signals of strength, not dominance, but emotional integrity. She's asking herself, will he respect my energy? Or will he try to manipulate it the second I show interest? This is why the way you respond to her questions matters more than the answers themselves. When she asks, are you seeing anyone? She's not asking for a status update. She's asking, if I move closer, will I be safe here? When she asks, how old are you? She's not trying to shame or flatter you. She's gauging maturity, but more importantly, how you respond to potential judgment. Because your reaction says everything about your inner world. If you get defensive, evasive, or arrogant, it tells her you're still battling for validation. If you respond calmly, directly, and without trying to impress, it signals that you're grounded. And that grounds her too. That's what builds trust. She's not looking for perfection. She's looking for a man who doesn't flinch when she steps forward. Let me put this simply: before a woman opens her heart, she opens her attention. Before she opens her attention, she tests your energy. And she does that through questions. So when she asks those basic things, she's actually giving you an opportunity to show her what kind of man you are. And your job isn't to overperform. It's to reveal your center, your calm, your clarity, your ability to respond without collapsing into performance. Because here's the core truth: a woman's attraction grows in proportion to how safe she feels expressing her feminine energy. And that safety isn't created through words. It's created through your energy. Your energy tells her, I'm not desperate. I'm not impressed by drama. I don't need to chase you, but I'm also not afraid to hold space for you. And when she feels that, when she feels that you're not trying to rush past her guard, but you're patient enough to let her decide, her body starts to relax. She leans in. She smiles more. She engages deeper. That's when attraction becomes real. That's when her interest shifts from curiosity to connection. You're not just a man who noticed her. You're a man who made her feel seen and safe at the same time. And that combination, that's rare. That's magnetic. But here's what's even more powerful: once a woman knows that she's emotionally safe around you, she becomes more playful, more open, more bold in her feminine energy. She lets down the wall. She steps into her softness. And you become the man she associates with that feeling of peace. Not tension, not anxiety, not performance, just presence. So next time a woman asks you something that feels pointed or loaded, don't rush to prove something. Don't get annoyed. Don't pull back in fear or lean forward in need. Just stay grounded, answer calmly, lead with emotional steadiness. Because in that moment, she's not just measuring your attractiveness, she's deciding if her heart is safe with you. And that decision won't come from your looks, your status, or your clever lines. It will come from your energy stability. The man who can make a woman feel emotionally safe will never have to chase her. She'll follow the feeling of peace he brings, because in that peace, she finally feels free to be fully herself.